Animation has long been dismissed as children's fare, yet a bold few series shattered that misconception, welcoming older audiences into surreal nightmares, unfiltered humor, and mature themes that defy easy explanation. From the dystopian visions of MTV's experimental shorts to Netflix's mind-bending voyages through cosmic grief, these 12 cult cartoons forged their legacies by embracing weirdness, subverting norms, and weaving adult-oriented narratives that linger in memory long after the final frame. Number 12. Aon Flux, 1991 to 1995. Aon Flux wasn't just another animated sci-fi short on MTV's liquid television. It was an uncompromising plunge into a fractured world where the laws of reality bent like melted metal. Created by Peter Chung, this avant-garde series unfolds in two rival city-states, Brenya and Monaca, where political intrigue, body horror, and philosophical puzzles collide in wordless vignettes that demand full attention. From the first camera angle flip that reveals Aon's lithe figure standing poised on a precipice, viewers know they're in uncharted territory. Episodes often clock in under 5 minutes, yet within that span, the narrative twists wildly. Characters shapeshift, die in grotesque fashion, or betray one another in choreographed standoffs devoid of exposition. Dialogue is sparse, whispers of conspiracies and whispered directives, but the stunning animation and eerie score fill in the emotional void. Aon herself is an enigma, a deadly secret agent whose motives remain as fluid as the landscapes she traverses. What truly set Aon Flux apart was its refusal to explain. Each installment posed more questions than answers. Was Brenya's rulers benevolent scientists or tyrants? Is Monaca a utopia hiding rot beneath its chrome surface? Why does Aon repeatedly die only to reappear in the next episode, her past reset like a corrupted file? Watching felt like piecing together a cryptic puzzle that rewarded obsession but chastised casual viewing. Beyond its visual bravado, the series bristled with mature themes: surveillance states, the ethics of genetic manipulation, and obsession with physical perfection. Episodes like Triad spiral into twisted explorations of identity as clones collide and bodies rearrange themselves in grotesque mosaics. The razor-sharp animation style, long limbs, angular frames, mirrored the show's intellectual edge and emotional distance. For audiences craving something beyond the brightly colored safety of mainstream animation, Aon Flux was a revelation, a beautiful, brutal kaleidoscope where every scene challenged expectations and every death felt like a door to deeper mysteries. After its initial run, Aon Flux inspired a 2005 live-action film and cemented its place as a cult landmark. But the real magic lies in those 5-minute bursts of avant pop that dared to render the adult psyche in abstract, merciless strokes, inviting viewers to embrace ambiguity and celebrate the weird. Number 11. The Max, 1995. At first glance, The Max looks like a kinetic comic book adaptation. Bulky hero, purple tights, and a grim cityscape. Yet beneath its superhero veneer lies one of the darkest, most emotionally charged cartoons ever produced. Based on Sam Keith's Image Comics series, The Max aired on MTV's Oddities block, weaving two parallel worlds: the grim outback, a dreamlike realm of shifting architecture and invasive flora, and the concrete jungle of the city, where social workers and street rat therapists wrestle with trauma. The protagonist, clad in hulking armor and branded The Max, believes himself to be the protector of Julie, a therapist who moonlights as his social worker in the real world. Their relationship and his blurred memories drive the narrative into deep psychological territory. Each episode flits between Max's heroic battles against monstrous embodiments of childhood fear and Julie's attempts to heal broken souls in the city. Flashbacks reveal her own haunting past, abuse, neglect, and the struggle to reclaim agency. Animation style amplifies the disorientation. Backgrounds melt into smeared watercolors, faces elongate in silent screams, and monsters sprout tendrils that feel both viscous and alive. Composer John Frizzell's discordant score underscores emotional beats, tugging on heartstrings one moment and jarring the senses the next. The show doesn't shy from depression, post-traumatic stress, or self-destructive coping mechanisms. Characters sip beer to numb pain, lash out at loved ones, and question reality itself. In one harrowing arc, Julie confronts her former foster family, ghosts in the outback, only to relive the very abandonment she sought to escape. Meanwhile, Max faces a godlike entity named Mr. Gone, whose twisted charisma and philosophical ramblings blur the line between savior and tormentor. The series refused neat resolutions. Every victory tasted bittersweet, and every revelation peeled back layers of human fragility. Despite its brief 13-episode run, the Max carved out a fervent fan base. It demonstrated that cartoons could grapple with mental health, grief, and the labyrinthine corridors of memory without sanitizing the pain. To this day, its hallucinatory visuals and adult-centered storytelling stand as testament to animation's untapped potential for exploring the darkest corners of the mind. Number 10. Invader Zim, 2001 to 2002. Nickelodeon's Invader Zim masquerades as a children's cartoon, but its gleefully sadistic humor and manic visuals reveal a darker underbelly. Created by Jonan Vasquez, Zim chronicles the misadventures of an inept alien sent by the Urkin Empire to conquer Earth. Despite scant evidence of its strategic value, tasked with infiltration, Zim adopts human disguises and recruits a malfunctioning robot, GIR, to engineer doomsday devices that inevitably backfire in spectacular fashion. From the opening theme's distorted marching band motif to the deep space vistas, Invader Zim sets a tone of manic dystopia. Zim's grand plans range from turning sunlight into explosive plasma to raising giant mutant worms beneath city streets. Each scheme unfurls into slapstick carnage, collapsing buildings, radioactive goop, and screaming townsfolk. GIR, in his cartoon cadet uniform, punctuates Zim's exasperation with random bursts of childlike antics, dancing, craving junk food, or musing on the deep meaning of waffles. The human cast, or what passes for it, serves as unwitting foils. Zim's classmate Dib, a conspiracy-obsessed tweener, suspects every oddity as extraterrestrial invasion, only to be written off as a paranoid freak. Zim's teacher, Ms. Bitters, exudes apathy so profound it becomes scary. Behind her drooped eyelids and deadpan mutterings lies an aura of existential dread that bleeds into every lecture. Visually, Invader Zim is a neon nightmare. Angular designs, lurid color palettes, and frenetic camera angles that feel pulled from a horror film's climax. Episodes like Dark Harvest offer downright grotesque imagery, animated intestines in a school cafeteria, or Zim's own face melting beneath synthetic skin. Yet beneath the madness lies sharp satire, commentary on consumer culture, bureaucratic inefficiency, and the ostensible innocence of suburban life. Though Nickelodeon canceled Zim after 2 seasons, its cult rebirth on DVD releases and a 2019 Netflix special spotlighted it. Enduring appeal, Invader Zim didn't shy from treating viewers as adults in disguise, trusting them to laugh at chaos, appreciate absurdist humor, and confront the lurid possibilities when cartoons embrace the grotesque. Number 9. Ren and Stimpy, Adult Party Cartoon, 2003. The original Ren and Stimpy charmed kids with its rubbery animation and toilet humor sensibilities on Nickelodeon in the early 90s. But when John Kricfalusi reclaimed his creations for Spike TV's Adult Swim precursor, he unleashed them into a world of unabashedly gross, borderline obscene absurdity, pushing boundaries that even devoted fans found jarring. This reboot, dubbed Adult Party Cartoon, traded family-friendly antics for extended gags of bodily functions, thinly veiled double entendres, and relentless droning jokes about bodily fluids. Ren, the hyper-nervous chihuahua, now shrieked at lengths that tested vocal cords. Stimpy, the dim-witted cat, embraced a slovenly existence fueled by endless cans of stinky whizzle-teats and gruesome relish-based recipes. Plots oscillated between meandering non-stories, such as a 5-minute homage to boogers, and pseudo-absurdist scenarios laden with suggestive imagery. Animation techniques reflected the titanic budgets, close-ups of dripping mayonnaise, exaggerated mouth movements revealing rows of pearly whites, faces morphing into unfathomable shapes. Every frame felt like a dare to viewers. Can you handle this level of grotesquerie? The show flaunted its adult label, sprinkling in references to drinking binges, psychiatric breakdowns, and jokes that winked at themes better left implicit. Critics lambasted the series for discarding the subtle, surreal humor of the original in favor of in-your-face shock tactics. Yet, for a segment of adult fans, the sheer audacity of watching childhood icons devolve into perverse caricatures held a twisted charm. Episodes like Man's Best Friend finally found a home, showcasing graphic violence that blurred the line between cartoon slapstick and genuine horror. Though it lasted only 3 episodes, Ren and Stimpy Adult Party cartoon carved a notorious reputation and stands today as a cautionary tale of pushing creative freedom to its raw extremes. In its brief life, it dared to ask, when animation sheds its innocence, how far can it descend before becoming unrecognizable? Number 8, Courage the Cowardly Dog, 1999 to 2002. Behind its deceptively pastoral setting, an isolated farmhouse in the eerie town of nowhere, Courage the Cowardly Dog delivered some of the most unsettling children's animation ever produced on Cartoon Network. Created by John R. Dilworth, the show follows Courage, a jittery pink pooch whose sole mission is protecting his elderly owners, Muriel and Eustace Bage, from cosmic horrors that materialize at their doorstep. Each episode reads like a mini horror anthology, haunted windmills, time-distorting cows, and villains who test Courage's trembling heart. In House of Discontent, for example, a singing sign lures passersby into a dilapidated mansion filled with living paintings that trap souls. In Perfect, a man obsessed with flawlessness seals himself inside watertight suits, only to suffocate under his own vanity. The show's palette shifts from warm pastels to stark, shadowed hues, the instant Courage's whiskers twitch at approaching dread. What set Courage apart was its tender core. For every grotesque spectacle, Muriel's gentle, "Oh, courage," reminded viewers of loyalty, love, and the power of facing fears. Composer Jody Gray's score bridged the gap between whimsy and terror, layering theremin echoes over folk-driven melodies. Episodes sometimes ended not with triumphant cheers, but with lingering shots of Courage shaking, eyes wide as the Baggis slept peacefully, underscoring how trauma can persist even after the monster is vanquished. Though rated for ages 10+, the show never flinched from adult scares, body horror transformations, existential despair, and villains who toyed with concepts of love and loss. The cruelty of the Baggis themselves, Eustace's fondness for scaring Courage with "stupid dog," added another layer of psychological pressure, making viewers root for a character whose only superpower was heart. Over time, Courage the Cowardly Dog has earned a devoted following among animation aficionados and horror fans alike. Its behind-the-curtain blend of cartoon innocence and mature dread proved that even a cowardly dog can haunt our nightmares and our hearts. Number 7, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, 2000 to 2007. What happens when a former superhero swaps his cape for a courtroom robe? In Adult Swim's Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, creator Michael Alwaleen reimagined Hanna-Barbera icons as legal clients, forcing Harvey Birdman, the caped crusader-turned-lawyer, to defend characters like Shaggy, Josie, and the Pussycats, and Space Ghost himself against ludicrous charges. It begins with Birdman's awkward shift from saving the world to saving weekend syndication profits. As litigation erupts over copyright infringements, workplace injuries, and mind control disasters, Harvey's legal briefs read like acid trips through Saturday morning nostalgia. His assistant, Peanut, delivers nonsensical non-sequitur one-liners, while courtroom bailiffs like the My Little Pony Guard thunderously announce entry into the judicial farce. Each episode builds a comedic case file, a floundering Yogi Bear accused of environmental vandalism, a disgruntled Fred Flintstone suing for dinosaur-induced property damage, or Birdman himself, entangled in existential crises over professional competence. Visual gags abound. Flip cuts to Birdman's superhero days, split screens of cartoon characters reacting with pitch-perfect expressions, and deliberately low-budget backgrounds that evoke the original 1960s styling. Beneath the humor lies a sharp satire of the legal system, intellectual property battles, and the absurdity of reviving dormant brands for profit. Episodes like Droopy Botox skew the cosmetics industry. Erstwhile delves into gender norms via a courtroom swap of clothes between characters. Through it all, Harvey endures moral quandaries about justice versus billing hours, an adult dilemma far removed from city-saving heroics. Harvey Birdman's blend of surreal callbacks, rapid-fire wordplay, and satirical edge resonated with fans who grew up on Hanna-Barbera, but now sought humor that respected their adult sensibilities. By turning cherished childhood heroes into legal punchlines, the show celebrated animation's capacity for reinvention and proved that the court of public opinion can be just as thrilling as any supervillain showdown. Number 6. Space Ghost Coast to Coast, 1994 to 2008. Long before late-night talk, shows leaned into irony, Cartoon Network's Space Ghost Coast to Coast smashed genres by resurrecting a 1960s superhero as a deadpan host. Created by Mike Lazo and others, this surreal talk show parody planted Space Ghost behind the desk, interviewing real celebrities using minimalist animation loops and non-sequitur humor. The premise is simple. Space Ghost, once defender of the universe, now fields banal questions from real-world guests, actors, musicians, even politicians, while his former sidekicks Zorak and Moltar sabotage the production. Zorak, a giant praying mantis, mans the bandstand and heckles guests with deadpan insults. Moltar, a lava man, edits the show live, cueing bizarre clips at random. Animation frames often consist of recycled mouth flaps superimposed on static art, lending an uncanny valley effect. Guests' eyes dart with uncanny rigidity, and Space Ghost's cape billows in the same loop. The show embraces low fidelity, using cardboard sets and jump cuts that feel more like art school experiments than polished broadcasts. Yet the awkward pacing and sudden audio snips produce an infectious comedy rhythm. Interviews range from earnest to utterly bizarre. In one episode, Andy Kaufman recounts absurd performance art, while the show cuts to lurid close-ups of Space Ghost's skull-like visage. In another, Korn's Jonathan Davis expresses genuine surprise at the nonsensical questions, capturing that moment when surreal humor meets unprepared reality. Through 10 seasons, Space Ghost Coast to Coast proved that weirdness could be its own draw. It upended expectations of celebrity interviews, turned production errors into comedic assets, and birthed Adult Swim's signature style: offbeat, experimental, and defiantly absurd. Its influence echoes in every modern streamer talk show that blends sincerity with irony, reminding us that sometimes the weirdest ideas spawn the most memorable art. Number 5. Xavier, Renegade Angel, 2007 to 2009. If you can imagine a snake-armed demigod with backwards knees preaching pseudo-spiritual gibberish, you've touched the surface of Xavier, Renegade Angel. Created by Vernon Chapman and John Lee for Adult Swim, this series follows Xavier, a self-appointed savior whose misguided attempts at enlightenment set entire dimensions on fire. Visually, Xavier resembles a warped dream. Lanky limbs twist impossibly, eyes bulge in disproportion, and backgrounds swirl with kaleidoscopic patterns. His adventures take him from toxic wastelands to interdimensional brothels, each populated by characters struggling with existential crises, body horror transformations, or literal manifestation of inner demons. Each episode begins with Xavier's grand pronouncement, delivered in gravely echoing tones: "I am Xavier, destroyer of lies." What follows is a cavalcade of non-sequiturs, philosophical word salads, and slapstick gore worthy of extreme comics. In townmanship, he helps a city by shredding its furniture with psychic blasts, only to leave the residents psychologically hollow. In Lipstick, he battles corporate pitchmen who literally sell souls in lipstick tubes. Beneath the grotesquerie lies ruthless satire. The show skewers New Age platitudes, toxic masculinity, and consumer culture, often in the same breath. Xavier's misguided kindness almost always causes more harm than good, underscoring the dangers of unchecked ego under the guise of benevolence. Characters spout the sort of pop psychology gibberish that rings hollow once you parse the contradictions. With only 2 seasons of 6 episodes each, Xavier, Renegade Angel remains one of Adult Swim's most polarizing offerings. It's not friendly to the faint of heart. Grotesque imagery, relentless philosophical mockery, and absurdist scenarios demand viewers abandon all conventional expectations. But for those seeking an animation that obliterates every safe zone, Xavier's bizarre odyssey delivers a masterclass in the art of cosmic satire. Number 4, Metallocalypse, 2006 to 2013. Imagine the world's most dangerous band, and then make them cartoons. That's the premise of Metallocalypse, co-created by Brendan Small and Tommy Blacha for Adult Swim, centered on Death Clock, a death metal act so powerful their every move causes international incidents. The series blends over-the-top violence, dark humor, and incisive industry satire. Death Clock's members, Nathan Explosion, Squeezegar Squagelf, Pickles, Toki, and William Murderface, are portrayed as literal gods in a world teetering on chaos. Episodes open with face-melting licks and an animated bloodbath. Pickaxes swing, heads roll, and the band's fan base celebrates with gleeful violence. Yet, backstage, corporate executives mastermind global domination through album sales, merchandising, and psychological warfare. Metallocalypse spares no detail. In Death Health, the band learns they've contracted a flesh-eating bacteria and demands an insane level of medical care, complete with a monstrous creature-infested hospital. In Go Forth and Die, corporate suits engineer a reality show competition to replace Nathan, igniting a media firestorm that nearly destroys the planet. The show's animation faithfully recreates Small's intricate guitar solos, with swirling camera moves that mirror live concert frenzy. The humor alternates between slapstick. Squeezegar's devil-may-care attitude leads to repeated decapitations, and biting commentary on the absurdity of fame. Fans worship band members as gods, only to riot when concert merchandise sales falter. Musically, Metallocalypse stands out with original songs that rival real-world metal acts. Each track is meticulously composed, featuring blistering solos, guttural growls, and lyrics that satirize genre cliches. Guest appearances from metal legends like Gene Simmons and members of Mastodon blur the line between fiction and reality. After 4 seasons and multiple specials, Metallocalypse ended on a cliffhanger, befitting its ethos of chaos without resolution. For adult audiences craving animation that thrashes as hard as it thinks, Death Clock's apocalyptic jam sessions remain a testament to the power of combining nuanced satire with headbanging intensity. Number 3, The Midnight Gospel, 2020. When Pendleton Ward, Adventure Time, joined forces with podcaster Duncan Trussell, the result was The Midnight Gospel, an animated journey unlike any other. Streaming on Netflix, this series grafts real, philosophical podcast interviews onto kaleidoscopic adventures in simulated universes, birthing a hallucinatory odyssey through consciousness, grief, and the absurdity of existence. Each episode follows Clancy, a galactic trilogy host who uses a malfunctioning multiverse simulator to interview beings on dying planets, discussing themes of mortality, mental health, and spiritual awakening. Meanwhile, the show's world careens through clown-infested apocalypses, resurrected ancestors, and candy-coated hellscapes that dissolve into cosmic soup. Characters morph fluidly, human faces melt, landscapes warp like wet paint, and Easter egg details flicker in the background. In Taste of the King, Clancy sits down with a frog guru to unpack psychedelics, while the universe behind them collapses in gouts of lava. Their dialogue, lifted verbatim from Trussell's podcast, dives into trauma, forgiveness, and the infinite nature of self. The contrast between earnest conversation and extreme visuals elevates both elements. The sincerity of the talk feels more poignant amid swirling chaos, and the chaos itself reads as metaphor for the human psyche. Episodes grapple with death head-on. In one installment, Clancy's mother appears, embodying both comfort and lingering sorrow. Other arcs explore reincarnation, the illusion of ego, and the search for meaning in suffering. Composer Tristan Diamond's score and Flying Lotus's jazz-infused beats underscore shifts between serenity and panic, guiding viewers through peaks of calm and valleys of existential dread. Although only 8 episodes long, The Midnight Gospel resonates as a meditation on what it means to be alive and to grieve. Its bold fusion of genuine discourse with boundary shattering. Animation proves that cartoons can serve as vessels for profound adult introspection, inviting us to confront our fears with open hearts. Number 2, Over the Garden Wall, 2014. Cartoon Network's miniseries. Over the Garden Wall unfolds like an autumnal folktale, blending nostalgia, melancholy, and faint whispers of dread. Created by Patrick McHale, the 10-episode arc follows brothers Wirt and Greg as they wander a mysterious realm called the Unknown, encountering eccentric characters, creepy townsfolk, and ominous figures known only as the Beast. From the first frame, where a lone lantern swings in the mist, the series evokes vintage Americana, fiddle-driven bluegrass scores, pumpkin-spiced woods, and city folk unprepared for mythic forces. Wirt's anxiety-ridden narration contrasts with Greg's childlike optimism, producing a bittersweet partnership as they navigate haunted taverns, ghostly choirs, and cursed tea parties. In Into the Unknown, the boys escape an enchanted field of singing cornstalks by outsmarting them with rhymes. In Mad Love, a masked ball hides a murderous cult. Yet even the darkest episodes carry a thread of warmth, a talking frog's loyalty, Beatrice's sacrifice, and Father's winding propensity for wise, if cryptic words. The animation style nods to storybook illustrations, muted palettes, watercolor wash backgrounds, and character designs that blend whimsy with subtle unease. Key scenes, like a hearth that breathes, or a cottage inhabited by a mad pumpkin master, linger in the memory long after the credits roll. Though aimed at older children, Over the Garden Wall delves into existential themes: the search for home, the weight of regret, and the thin veil between life and death. Its concise storytelling, period-inspired art, and hauntingly beautiful score by the Blasting Company forged an immediate cult following, one that continues to celebrate its seasonal reruns and fan art. Ultimately, the miniseries reminds viewers that strangeness and wonder often walk hand in hand. Sometimes, a short autumnal journey can reveal truths deeper than any endless saga. Number 1. The Amazing Screw-On Head, 2006. In 2006, the Sci-Fi Channel aired a single, glorious pilot, The Amazing Screw-On Head. Based on Mike Mignola's comic, this 15-minute adventure follows an indestructible government agent whose head literally screws onto mechanical bodies as he battles Lovecraftian horrors unleashed in 19th century metropolises. The premise thrives on absurdity. Screw-On Head, voiced with deadpan bravado, intercepts a psychotic Napoleon Bonaparte bent on reopening ancient portals to unspeakable dimensions. Supporting characters, like the amnesiac undead sidekick and a telepathic Martian slave named Mr. Groin, contribute to rapid-fire banter that skewers Pulp Fiction tropes. Animation mirrors Mignola's stark style, heavy blacks, angular silhouettes, and exaggerated proportions. The pilot transitions seamlessly from smoky London streets to underground lairs populated by tentacled beasts and eldritch symbols. Composer Christopher Drake's orchestral score balances swashbuckling heroics with eerie leitmotifs that recall early horror film campsites. Despite its brevity, the pilot packs in witty dialogue, pulse-pounding action sequences, and deft world-building, hinting at a universe teeming with supernatural conspiracies. Viewers witness Screw-On Head's stoic bravery contrasted with his literal objectification. Raised body parts shipped in crates, self-aware, yet entirely driven by duty. Though The Amazing Screw-On Head was never picked up for a full series, it remains a beloved oddity among animation fans. Its fusion of Victorian pulp, cosmic horror, and mechanical absurdity showcased animation's power to condense a whole universe into a single, perfect diamond of strangeness. For those who thirst for bizarre, adult-oriented cartoons, this pilot stands as a testament to the beauty of stories that refuse to play by the rules. These 12 cult cartoons shattered conventions, inviting us to explore nightmares, ponder complex truths, and embrace the bizarre edges of animation. If you've journeyed with us through these strange worlds, subscribe and share which oddball masterpiece you'll watch next.